vision in your head. You think you found the strategy to keep you in the black, not red. You ran a little back test and the line went to the moon. You're picking out a Lambo, you'll be quitting very soon. But wait, is that a fluke? Did you get juked? Did your dreams of mansions die and your money get cooked? So stop the guess and stop the stress and put it to the test with the 0-day mark. Who's better than the rest? Every Tuesday morning, 10:30 is the time to see if your good idea is actually worth a dime. It's option Omega, bridge the gap, find the edge, and step away from the financial margin call edge.
I just realized I got to rebrand that video because you are no longer 0-day mark. You're a multi-day mark.
Yeah, multi-strat mark. There's more things out there, you know?
Listen, you kill it with the videos you're producing. And as someone who puts a lot of videos out, it takes a lot of work. So kudos to you for the amount of videos you put out. Let's jump straight in. I'm gonna let you drive, and then I will share the test that we're looking at. So the first one here, I'm gonna put in the chat for everybody to play along with at home. Mark, what are we looking at here?
This is, hope I'm saying this right, Vinard, opening range breakout 30. Not sure where the number 30 is coming. Looking at this back test, 12:30, 10 wide. So like, I will say, just looking at this from the bat, like I already hate it. So like, first couple of things here is like 5 cents entry slippage, and you're trading a 50 delta. The minimum tick size for an option above $3 is 10 cents, and you're shopping 2. So like, first thing I would say is minimum 15-cent slippage for this. So that just took away 18% of our expected value. Come on, you guys. And then the other thing I'll say is like, the logic makes no sense to me. So basically, when we break the opening range from 10 a.m. in the first half hour, we're willing to take a trade 2.5 hours later. So like, I don't see any causation in regards to that. We might as well just get on a copy trade Discord person and say we see support after the 10 a.m. breakout, and I'm looking for the algos at 12:30 to like take my hammer candle on the upside. So like, the mechanics of this are just absolutely atrocious. Also, we have like above a 5-day SMA, which again, sure, like maybe puts do okay with this, but again, the logic makes no sense. So like at 10 a.m., a minute indicator, which is fast, gets its performance improved by 2.5 hours later, you using a daily indicator to try and smooth out the ups and downs. So you have like the quickest possible response to like a week long response. So let's go back to our rules here. So like, you have an entry mechanic, which is 12:30. You have no risk mechanic, and then you have 2 filters here. So I would expect you to breach this max drawdown within 3 months, and I would expect the expected value to be around 4% premium capture. Basically, like, you know, this, another thing, like I'll go with this one, is it's like, you're also like buying to the upside. So like, and it's super tight, which if we know anything about volatility, it's like you're buying an at the money 50 delta, and then on top of that, you're selling an option above it to cap your upside. So you have all these filters to potentially make money to the upside, and then you're capping the upside. So like, this is just, and you only have 288 occurrences, and it's like, there's 252 trading days a year over, 3.5 years. So you're taking like, 1/4 of days. Yeah, I don't know if there's much we can do with this. I mean, just one thing I would say is like, we do this, I'm fine with getting rid of the SMA, and we'll kind of see what this does. I imagine it'll completely break down. But if this potentially has some positive expected value, I'll give you like a little cooling period for a floating entry time. We'll go 10:15 so we don't just get quickly stopped into it, and I'll go till 12:30. And if this makes a little money, maybe we're on to thesis. Yeah. But if this is like zero, like we have to consider that if you have all these filters and then this entry is a 0% expected value, you're going to fall somewhere in between. So like this is your low end of probability, basically, is 2%, because this is what the filtered entries are. And like holding the S&P looks a lot more appealing to me than trading this.
Yeah.
So I would just say, like, I see you have live bot on this one. I mean, I would not be trading this. Like, this is basically a case where why use options to try to get this type of exposure, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting. And I mean, the idea of just ride it up, you know, and there's other vehicles to ride price up.
Yeah, like basically, you know, this is an opinion that the market go up, but we know statistically, like almost all the market moves happen overnight. And then you're literally taking on the most expensive vehicle, which is 0-day options in Gamma, with the most expensive fees possible in a tax inefficient manner. And you have like roughly a 1-to-1 win-loss ratio, which is like the definition of what owning the S&P is. It's like a 1-to-1 win-loss ratio. So yeah, I would just say like this doesn't make any sense as a position, like this 50 delta, and then to like even exert this type of opinion, because just holding the S&P does it better. And then it also makes zero sense to like have any of these filters and such on. Like you basically just curve fitted in the best possible days for this to make money.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that maybe is the idea of like trying to say, someone put in the chat, like maybe it's to get away from PDT. I don't know if that would really solve anything on this test.
Yeah.
I mean,
it would, you're holding it to expiration. So I guess you would get rid of PDT, but it's like, if you're below a 25 grand account and this is what you're trading, it's like, you're probably just better off going to work more and like trying to figure out how to get to 30 grand and like learning to trade options. So, and it's like, generally a rule with trading is like, you want to do the simplest thing possible that's not overcomplicated, and then you want to use the most liquid and least like, basically cost inhibitive to trade. So to exert this, you pay way less fees, you pay way less tax, and you never have to think about it with owning the S&P. And like, we have 100 years of data of what owning a market cap weighted index fund will give you over time. And the S&P roughly goes up like 52% of days. So like, this is the S&P almost by all definitions,
Yeah. Well, off the top rope with that one. I like it. Let's move on to the second test.
Then the second test here, I mean, excuse me for my lack of optional understanding, but it's like, we would call this a butterfly, right? I mean, we're buying one.
Yeah. So basically you're buying a 50 delta call
and selling two above.
Yeah. 2 at the 35 points above, and then buying 1 70 points above. So, not sure if it's broken wing or not. No, I don't think I think they're trying not to be broken wing on it.
Yeah. I guess when I think about that, I don't use this that much, but how do we pull up the risk graph on option Omega?
To save the test, you'd have to save it real quick.
Because I guess we'd see the structure of the payoff. I mean, I'm assuming like the structure of the payoff is like the top side. We have a $2,800 winner, but I imagine this is in high vol when like this spreads a lot.
Yeah. Let me do this as well real quick.
Yeah, like basically when I think about it, it's like with this trade, if it only goes like, you can make money if it just goes like 30 points basically. And then if it goes past 35 points, you want this thing to absolutely rip, because once you get to the long strike, you're basically 1x long.
Yeah.
So like, I think just looking at this is like the structure is, kind of creative. So like basically
let me do this real quick too, just to take over for a second.
You want to take over? Yeah.
Yeah. Just if you can see this.
My solar people here, I'm gonna let them in real quick.
Oh yeah. Also, shout out if you see Mark's desktop, it was 50 something degrees where he is. So shout out warm weather. I would definitely love some 50 degrees right now. Very, very cold. So this test, if you look at it, basically it's an upside butterfly, and you were trying to just ride that. And so it's symmetrical. So it's the 35 wide on each side, but you can kind of see the price moving here. This is what you're kind of looking for. You're looking for it to just ride up, and you're using, I believe, orb on this trade to see what it's doing. So that's kind of it. That's the structure of it. Mark, I'm gonna let you take back over screen wise.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll kind of look at your okay. Yeah. So I guess we're going for pin risk here, basically.
Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, I'll go back real quick to it. So basically, they're just trying to get a nice wide butterfly that where if we bounce, if we ride the up move, it kind of settles in that next phase up.
Yeah. So first thing I would, again, like, I don't get why gaps mesh with the SMA, mesh with the orb. So like this thing's just going to fall apart. Also, come on, you guys, we're 10 cents entry slippage, 3 legs. Please tell me when you got your market making license and you can cross these for that price. So like, I mean, first thing I would do to just try to oversimplify it is like, let's just give you the gap.
Here, I'm gonna let you take over. You're so much faster at moving these things around than I am, which is crazy because, yeah, I'll let you share your screen there.
This will take a minute because it's in between. But again, like the flavors of filtering out when we have a very asymmetric payoff is like, pretty tough type thing. And also like this low win rate, you're just like very, very dependent on these big winners. So like, in 17.4, so like not as bad. So like that's
t-shirt real quick.
Screen shared now?
Yep.
Okay. So like 17.4, when we got rid of the SMA here, we still have the big ones. So now let's just get rid of the orb. And I could potentially get behind this because this is basically saying like when we just have a gap that's not extreme, it'll mean revert a little bit.
Yeah.
And then if this falls apart, then we obviously should run. Okay. So like not terrible.
Yeah. I mean, running a lot more, obviously, you're getting much more occurrences, but the more occurrences you have, any MAR above 1, you're still paying attention to it is the way I look at it.
Yeah. I mean, since this is since this is a debit trade, I don't have a problem with like, if you want to run this in like 1 or 2% of your portfolio, because like you can hit it. And just from like a probabilistic perspective, I think it could potentially do something. Now let's get rid of gaps and see how much it falls apart. But the main concept I just want to drill in here is like, this is super unrealistic. Like just super, super unrealistic with what you're looking for. Like you will never get remotely close to these results. And you can see here that like 2022 just like pulled off more and more and more weight basically over time.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would just, okay. So like, again, I think this is attractive.
Yeah.
But we just need to re-get our expectations of how much we think we're going to make. Like this is a very capital efficient, uncorrelated, kind of like directionless trade that makes sense to me from a volatility perspective, being like you're buying calls into the smile. So like this is a way to basically get cheap upward exposure, but also make money of it getting pinned with upward exposure. So like this makes a lot of sense. Just the concept here is like, come on, we don't like your structure from an option perspective makes a bunch of sense and is actually solid, but you're just lying to yourself on what this is. And what's going to happen is you're going to size this too large and you're going to come back and keep on tweaking this stuff. And you're just going to get results that are like drastically different than, what will actually happen in the real world. Whereas this, I think, can happen. And like the option structure makes a lot of sense. And this is pretty solid. You'd never want to size it at 3% of your margin or something, but this is something with a 1.5 MAR that basically will deliver you, a 200% return on the debit per year.
Yeah.
Like obviously you can't size this more than like 25 basis points in your account or something, but I like it. It makes sense to me. Like, I think this is, pretty attractive actually as something to trade. One thing I would be curious with, this would take like way longer, but if we went to like 2020 and then just went to like 5-10 2022, we could see if it worked before then. Because again, we're still getting like big max winners to drive it. Oh man, did they filter days of the week too? Okay, they didn't filter days of the week. So this should be interesting. Like generally from the past, like we know this Mondays and Fridays because of the weekend effect have been pretty good. So this should make money basically in the past.
Yeah.
Again, not bad.
Yeah.
Like this has positive expected value. You just, if you're going to run this, you just need to get more of a realistic expectation. Like I think you could definitely get 5% PCR on this over a long period of time. Then it can make sense as a capital efficient slice with, basically no tail risk to hold in your account.
It's a lessons learned today. I mean, the structure can be a good structure. You can have something that looks good and, it looks great if you add a bunch of bells and whistles to it. And, doing this 3-4 weeks now, this is going to be the theme every week, I guarantee you, which is take away all the things that make it special. And if it still wins, you have some validity to it.
Yeah. And the other thing is like, don't get greedy. It's like, we know that a debit trade can't do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, this doesn't happen in the SPX. Like this just does not happen. And also like, if you think about this trade right here would be perfect for like the largest participants in the world to trade.
Oh, for sure.
Because they don't need any of the liquidity. They could hedge this off and make a market, yada, yada, yada. And the other thing I'd like to point out from like a very institutional perspective is it's like, what most people would actually do if an institution wanted to trade this structure, they would call their special, so like OEMS and ask for the routes and be like, hey, like what can you price this at? The spread between the bid ask of all of this stuff is like 4 vol points. If you can fill me at 2.5 vol points away from mid, I'll take this because they know they can get in. And like with their routes and their pricing and, their relationships, they could actually get mid fills on this if the market is willing, has open interest to off sell this. So like this just further kind of ingrains why this would never work. Because like when we think about vol, I kind of talked about like, this is a good structure. Like it makes sense to me, buy one, sell two, buy one, the curve smile of the calls makes sense. But if what was attractive, like this isn't the attractive part. There may, and this would be how actual like $1 billion institution trade vol, they would never use these filters. They would actually be looking at the pricing of the out of the money call skew versus this bot skew. And then they would fill that. And that would be their edge, would be the pricing of the structure, not the filter of what this is, because they know when this gets filled, they have no ability to have path dependence over these, frankly, dumb filters. but they know that they've gotten it at such an attractive price that the vol is basically, they know it's perfectly priced and they know they don't have delta exposure, but if it moves, they can basically harness that exactly. And this is what people use on like SpiderRock or Matrix or et cetera, et cetera. And this, but like structure is great. Like, I just want to put that out there. It's like the theory behind all of this makes a bunch of sense to me. It's just, how do you price this correctly, basically? And this is the same thing, like when people sell puts that are like institutional people, they generally will like sell a put and buy a VIX call, because what they see in the VIX term structure versus the put, they can basically make a riskless bet on overpriced vol. They're not just blindly off-selling risk premium into the market.
So you're saying basically you should not martingale this.
No, definitely not. Like,
okay.
You know,
martingale a debit trade in general. I mean, any trade martingale, but that's a bold strategy, Cotton. Martingaling a debit trade would be a fun one. So, Mark, you're the man. I appreciate you. You've got some solar stuff being installed, it looks like.
Yeah,
so
solar's going on the roof today. So I think I'm getting my power cut off. So
love it.
I'm leaving the office for the day and heading home.
Well, thanks.